Hi guys, how are you? Welcome to Content Creators Roundtable. What is this? 5 now? Um, Today is a special show. We have the Skribr team with us. Just in case you don't know, Solana Side Up, which I talk about all the time, is under the Skribr banner. So I am actually a Skribr content creator as well as a Decoders content creator. And I joined them around about the same time as Decoders. Really fantastic group of people, and we have a bunch of their content creators with us today. So just remember, if you're not, watch through the app, collect your views. We're getting really close to mint now, and we're gonna go and see the team. So we got Dynamics. Hi.
Yo.
And then we
Got on?
got Leeway.
Hey, how
Hi.
you doing?
Yeah. And we got Professor,
What's going on,
the
guys?
Professor. Sorry, I abbreviated your name. And then we got Sus. Hey guys, how's it going?
Good. Good,
How
thank
you,
you.
how you been?
I don't know who to go.
Yeah, no, you can
Yes.
all go at the same time. Look, it's gonna be chaos. Let's just prepare for. I'm prepared
We
for
gotta
it.
raise
Let's
our
just
hands
all
like on
go.
Yeah,
Oh
you need to raise
no,
hands
I don't
function.
want. I don't want to respect the hands. No, not today. No. Okay. Well, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go to Dynamics, the big guy first. Um. We're gonna get straight into it, and I'm Dynamics, as this is a creator roundtable, and as I'm one of your creators, and all of these fabulous guys are your creators, why was it important to you when you were building the Skribr network to have creators, and what do you see as like the importance of creators for Skribr?
I guess like one of the reasons I wouldn't say started Skribr, but the reason Skribr sort of evolved into what it was. I've always been in the content creation space for a fair while now, in the crypto trading sort of space. And when I sort of came into the, I guess you'd say, Web3 world, before I even had Twitter or anything like that, started getting involved with NFTs, I noticed there was a massive lack of what I would say quality content. A lot of inexperienced people giving their opinions, a lot of very biased, bag shilling and things like that. It just seemed really sloppy, and I just saw a massive hole in the market. I'm like, nah, then there needs to be some more professionalism and more experience in this space just to lift the quality. So that's sort of where Skribr sort of evolved from. We just wanted to lift the quality of the content in the space with proper educated people with a lot of experience in the space. So we've sort of been handcrafting or curating the people that we've been sort of selecting to become content creators for Skribr. So it's taken a while, but I'm pretty happy with some of the guys we've got on our team now. Slowly growing, adding people every week, but and girls,
And
sorry,
girl,
yep.
and
Yeah,
girl.
we're
Hopefully more girls soon, but till then.
100%, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So I'm gonna go to Leeway next. Leeway, how did you get into content creation? Like, what is the Leeway lore? Tell us.
Leeway law.
Yeah.
Goodness.
Give us the prequel.
Yeah. Well, I guess we sort of. I just personally fell into it. It all started with. So I started getting into crypto in 2017. Started taking it more seriously in 2020, and found this trading group that Denomics and the professor were lead educators in. So started off learning from them, and sort of linked up directly with Denomics because I paid for additional one-on-one sessions with him. And then from that, he branched out his own sort of group. And then I just started taking interest in a lot of the stuff that these guys were talking about, the NFTs. And it just sort of happened organically. So I took some time off from my regular job and had a lot of time on my hands. So I really enjoyed researching different ideas, different projects that were coming up, seeing what people have got going, where their ideas are coming from, and took it upon myself to start, writing some analysis for the guys within our group so that they don't have to do that kind of research. And then when Skribr evolved into what it is now, so just slotted right into that. And it's been a really, really amazing journey. I think I've learned a lot through that process, and always am still learning. But I guess that's the spiel of how I got to where I am now. Definitely wasn't something I saw. Like if you asked me a year ago, if I would saw myself doing this, probably not. But it just sort of naturally evolved, and I'm been really enjoying it. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, it's weird how things evolve because I tell this story often, but Jazz tells it often actually. My core team member, where it's like when I first came, there he is. Hi, Jazz. When I first came into the space and like I would go to spaces, uh, I wouldn't talk. Like
Mm,
if I went, I wouldn't even go up to speaker. But when I did go up to speaker, it was like, yeah, like if somebody asked me a question, I'd be like, uh huh.
yeah.
And
Well,
like
for the
now,
record, your space was the first one I ever spoke on, so I popped my cherry on. So
hey, bum, 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 bum. And that makes me happy because I try to keep my space like very comfortable so people feel comfortable talking for the first time. But I like having the people, super experienced people, mixing with like first timers. So I really love that about SSU, I have to say. So yay, that makes me happy. But yeah, Jazz was like, I didn't talk at all, and like now I host spaces, and now I'm on YouTube. It's crazy. Um, anyways, Professor, tell us, how did you get into this crazy world of content creation?
So my story is kind of similar to Dynamics in the fact that I was more of a crypto trading background, and and then I think for me it was Johnny started Skribr, and I kind of went into that with him, and the Web3 space started to get into that, and it kind of, I don't know, for me it was more like at that stage crypto trading was getting, I don't know, for me a little bit boring. Like it's a lonely game when you're a crypto trader, right? And the Web3 space, like being in Skribr around a community of, you know, people who know what they're talking about. They're good, honest people, and I really enjoyed that, and it brought like the fun back into it for me, and the NFT trading and the community side of it and stuff like that. So to me, that's what I enjoy about Web3. You know what I mean? Like that aspect of it, and just like Donnie said as well, we saw that there was a lack of quality information out there. And so it kind of started as just us boys, us community members in Skribr, uh, doing the project research and sharing things within the community. And then we thought, we need to bring this to other people as well. And it kind of just grew from there, I guess, to what we are now.
A cool. Sorry, I'm having a little bit of a dog issue here. Like he wants to go out, and it's like this is the worst timing ever. Apologies for that. Um, okay, cool. I will agree with you on the trading thing. I traded forex. I've never really. I mean, I traded a little bit of crypto in that forex realm, but like, and back to Dee's point earlier on, it's like I got into it in like 2020 because I was bored, right? And I didn't have anything else to do. And the way that it's presented in most cases is fast money. That's how they try to hook you in, fast money. Um, Being somebody who came from an investment background and taught myself everything in terms of investing and learned some of the stuff the hard way. I know that there's already really no such thing as fast money. So the way it was being marketed was wrong. And I'm gonna have to leave. Let him be. He's distracting at best. Anyways, so yeah, but that trader life, it is lonely, and I didn't get any sleep for like the 3 months that I did it. Like I literally probably quit because I needed sleep, because I just,
Yeah.
all I would do is watch my trades, like sit there and be
Well,
like, I can't look away for a minute. you know
Yeah. Yeah, you know that you're probably a little bit, I guess, over leveraged, or something, affecting you psychologically about your trades if you can't, like,
yeah,
leave and without watching that profit and loss kind of
yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah. No, I got better at it towards the end, but I still was just like this. It wasn't for me at the time, and I think that if I revisited at this point, I'm actually thinking about going back in 2024. But if I revisited at this point, knowing what I know, I think it would be a lot better and a lot more balanced. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's an art. I think I was just a little bit too emotional at the time, and you
Well,
can't
we're
be.
working on a few things that might be of interest to you soon.
Hey, yeah. Scribers trading for dummies. Me as the dummy. Me as the dummy in the videos, maybe. I don't know. I'm ready. Sus, tell us about how you got into this.
All right. So mine's not so different. The only thing I guess I'll add to the other guys is I definitely started on the trading side of things. And so I actually had a vision like a few years ago of like kind of wanting what Skribr's building. And I kind of wanted to start doing that myself and pretty quickly realized, wow, it's really hard to find good people for this. You know, everybody's in one way or another either not trustworthy or they're here for the wrong reasons or doing something else. And so kind of essentially started with a small group of just kind of, you know, a friends group is how it starts out. And it was just trading crypto and then stumbled upon the Skribr community through Dynamics. And so kind of started on that side with the crypto stuff. And that's ultimately what got me into NFTs as a whole. Actually wasn't into it until going into that. And so all of my experience in that has entirely come from essentially these guys that are in here. And so starting on the trading side, I was like, oh, this is perfect. I'll contribute to some of the trading stuff. And then it just kind of took over and said, hey, this other stuff that they're all working on is really cool. And it's just, you know, just passion and interest. And it's pretty easy to start creating content when it's something you're interested in. The second it becomes forced, the second it becomes a chore, it kind of loses its, you know, aspect. And so it's not really, you know, how did you get into it for me? It's just kind of like, no, this is just the thing. This is what I like to do. If people want to see it, people want to hear it, like, of course, always. That's really it. I mean, it's just been a few years.
Nice. So I guess so far, like, what is the moment that you were like, oh, I'm a content creator, or like you really realized that you were on to something? Do you know what I mean? I guess Dynamics, will start with you again.
For me, it started probably, I don't know, maybe 4 years ago or so. The trading firm I was working for, I sort of worked my way up to senior analyst and was running, you know, pretty large group of, I think it was about 3,500 students at one stage. And I was sort of like one of the head coaches. So I was not forced. I actually really enjoyed it. I enjoyed helping people and teaching people new things, but part of my job was creating content. So I was sort of forced into the role of creating content, but I actually really enjoyed it. I've got a very creative side, so I actually really enjoyed it. I tried lots of different things. Unfortunately, I got held back a lot with that position because I was under contract. There were certain things I could and couldn't do. Basically, you know, I wanted to start a YouTube channel back in the day, tried to start it, got shut down, basically said, no, not allowed to do that. It all has to be behind the paywall. So I was sort of held back a lot in those early days when I was super passionate about creating a lot of content. But over time, they've sort of loosened the reins and I've been able to do little bits and pieces on my own. And then more recently, obviously, taken on a different role with the company and sort of allowed me to express myself a little bit more. I do find it, it's hard to say. Like, I enjoy content creating, but I'm actually now moving a little bit more into a managerial role, you know, with Skribr sort of in the back end. And what I'm actually really enjoying about that, I almost feel like a bit of a, I don't know what the word is, orchestrator. Don't know what the word is. Conductor, that's the one. Thank you. I feel like the conductor now because now I'm seeing all these boys come up and they're creating all the crazy content and I'm just sort of helping them, pushing them in the right direction. I can sort of take a bit of a back seat. I still enjoy creating content, but I'm actually really enjoying seeing the other boys step up and girls step up and take that spotlight. I don't really like the spotlight, and that was part of my previous job was the spotlight. I had to be this front man and I didn't like it. I don't like the attention. I'd rather just be in the back and let other people take the spotlight. So I'm sort of enjoying this role, like doing that.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, I guess I'm like, what's it? Sus will get this reference. Like one of these kids is doing their own thing because I'm kind of like that, the rogue content creator on the Skribr network right now. Because like when you came to me, I'm like, but I'm just some chick talking on the internet and being weird Monday and Fridays. And you were like, people like that. And I was like, all right. I mean, I I definitely get that I provide value, but it's not like maybe as highbrow as everybody else in our crew.
Yeah, certain standards that we look for, and I don't know.
None of them.
When I listen to a lot of other spaces, I'm just like, I can't stand listening to this. I can't stand listening to the people on the panel. It's just, I don't know. It's the quality of spaces, in my opinion, is pretty damn low. So yeah, that was sort of why we went with you.
Yay. Okay. So, Leeway, what is that moment that you were like, oh my God, I am actually a content creator? Or have you even had that moment yet?
I see. I don't know if I had a specific moment where I was like, oh, this is what I'm doing now. I think the biggest thing for me was understanding how you could provide value for the things that you do. Because I think starting into this, I've always sort of had this stigma about content creators as like, attention-seeking people, really shallow, and there's exceptions to that rule. I think where it clicked to me as like there's actually something valuable that can be done here was with our group being able to bring this information together and then having this solid quality group of people that you could say, hey, let's bounce some ideas, share some thoughts. No one's, trying to have a go at each other or anything like that. It was all very, very civil. And I think a point that Sus made before that I found really, really important is it's really hard to find people who share your values in this space. And when you do, you really do appreciate them. Like when I came into crypto in 2017, very naive, no clue what I was doing. And I was following some quote unquote content creators around it. And watched a lot of money go down the drain that way. And look, that's my own responsibility. But then seeing the other side of that narrative of where you can actually create something of value, that's meaningful and quality. That's for me when I went, okay, actually, this is something I really enjoy, is taking, lots of information, repackaging it in a way that's presentable to people, trying to ultimately pass on a lot of the lessons I've learned from these guys, Donnie and Phil especially. Sus, I'm learning from every single day now as well. Haven't known him as long, but that sort of appreciation and then that want to then pass that on to the next person. So hopefully they can experience the benefits that I myself have had. Maybe a roundabout way of answering that question, but yeah.
Cool. Professor, I have a question. Are you actually a professor? Is that why we have that?
No.
Do people think that you're a professor?
Just a nickname that people gave me, and then I just like, it kind of just become like the Web3 name.
Nice.
We forced it upon him.
Nice. So, So, in terms of content creation, when was that moment, or what was that event that you're like, this is what I do now?
So it was, again, similar to Denomics in the fact that, we were in that crypto education role. So we were always, recording different content and stuff like that for all the students. And then, it wasn't really until we started Skribr that we started actually writing, articles and doing project reviews, and I guess taking that a little bit more seriously. That was pretty much the moment for me, I guess. Once we started Skribr and really started getting a good team around us, and like Leeway said, bouncing ideas off each other and learning from each other as well. Because, a big thing for me is I always try to remain a student, and I'm always learning from the boys, like Sus will do something, Leeway will write something, and everyone's got their own cool little, what's the word?
Niche.
Yeah, like niche and things that's special about them. And that's pretty much
superpower.
How I Sorry?
I said superpower. Everybody's like, engaging a superpower of sorts. Cool. Yeah. Sus.
So I don't think I had that one spot that was like, you know what, this is a real thing now. but there was definitely a couple times where it's, you kind of get that, I guess, reality check on it. And so, forever before being part of Skribr, it was just kind of like it was a friends hangout. It wasn't content creation. It was just, hey, let's hop on, let's chart some things, let's chat, let's do this. I would say that one time that was like, hey, there's actually something here. This is kind of cool. This is pretty gratifying. Was shortly after the Skribr website actually launched, and we had a bunch of articles and research coming out. And being in a couple different groups where people are talking about a new project that's getting dropped, and somebody tags you and says, hey, I want you to write an article on this because we don't understand it. And that's cool. That's probably the first time where it was like, people, you might not see the people on the other side that are reading it or appreciating it, but they're there. And that was definitely the first time where it's like, this is rewarding. This is awesome.
Nice.
But it's such a gradient that happens.
Yeah, for sure. I think that and they're different milestones, I guess. I mean, at least for me, there have been, because up until recently, I still didn't consider myself a content creator, even though I pump out a Twitter space twice a week, and I'm on YouTube 3 times a week at least at the moment. But Solana Side Up hitting its year milestone was a big deal for me. That was,
I think
like,
you'll find, like, a lot of us, it becomes very natural, like, into this content creator space. And that's what I really like about what we're doing, is all the boys have naturally just progressed to be content creators. Whereas what you find in this space is a lot of people put their hand up saying, oh, I want to be a content creator, but they don't even know what they're doing yet. Like, they don't have expertise, they don't have knowledge or something of value to give. They just want to be a content creator or want to be an influencer. So they're starting on the wrong foot. You know what I mean? It's going in without the right ammo, if that makes sense.
No, absolutely. Like, somebody asked me the other day, how would you advise me to get started? Which is wild that anybody would ask me for advice, I feel. But, one of my first piece of advice was be yourself, because if you're not yourself, it gets real hard real quickly to, like, be this person that you're not. And I feel like I kind of got boxed into this, like, I'm so wholesome character. And it's not that I'm not, but I also have a trolly, like, dark side. And so I felt like I had to uphold this, because a bunch of people had called me this, like, Didi called me the most wholesome person in the space. And I was like, oh shit, now I'm stuck. Now I need to kind of live up to this. And finally I was like, forget it. Epiphany After Dark exists. Let's go.
I've been there for some of those spaces and they are fantastic.
Oh, yes. Yeah. No, when I really get going, it can be fun. I guess a question that I really, like, never really ask, but it really feels like it's something that we should discuss this time around, is, like, especially because some of you have been doing kind of content creation on the Web 2 level. What makes content creation different on the Web 3 level, and why would you choose to be a Web 3 content creator, kind of?
Ooh, this is an interesting topic, because I've thought about this a lot. There's a lot of people that call themselves Web3 content creators, but then you sort of ask, what is it that's Web3 about you? You know what I mean? Like, is it because you're in a lot of NFT communities and you're creating content? Does that make you a Web3 content creator? What's the content you're creating? Is it even relevant to the Web3 space, or is it something completely different? So I think that's, like, I don't know, it's kind of important to really identify exactly what a Web3 content creator is. We call ourselves Web3 content creators because we're creating content about anything from NFTs, DeFi, gaming, crypto. That's all Web3, right? So we consider it, we're creating Web3 content. We're creating content on Web3 technology and information, sort of thing. But I don't know, when you also think about the concept of Web3 or Web 1, Web 2, Web 1 was read, Web 2 was read, write, Web 3 is read, write, own. So technically, a Web3 content creator is somebody who creates content and owns their content and can earn money from it or whatever. So I don't know, there's lots of different ways to look at it. But when I think of Web3 content, I think of somebody who's creating content on Web3 information, space, games, NFTs, whatever. That's the way I see it.
Yeah. Okay. No, I get that. I mean, I think that by that definition, I would fit into a Web3 content creator.
Yeah, well, you hold a Twitter space and you talk about NFTs and the crypto market and stuff like that. So that I would say that's Web3 content. But
and then we're on decoders.
Something completely irrelevant.
Yeah. I mean, we do sometimes have some irrelevant conversations.
Sidetracked. That's all right.
Leeway has been a privy to a bunch of those where we've just gone completely off track, but actually really entertaining.
So do you guys like your fruits crunchy or soggy?
That was last week's, and we had a conversation about eggs. We had a conversation about voices. The best one was still the voices one. What was that, Sus?
It said Leeway's still the only person in those spaces. No matter how informal they get, he's still raising his hand to say something.
Him and Vittler's a co-host and is raising his voice, his hand all the time. He doesn't.
I was raised to have manners. Thank you very much. Now that's
the way his mama raised him. No, we did Solana over easy on Sunday night, really? And Vittler was raising his hand the whole time. I'm like, bro, there are only two of us here. What's happening? But I guess it was a throwback to Solana Side Up. Yeah. So, okay. Professor, do you think that there's anything like different or super important about being a content creator in Web3 versus what you've done in Web2 in the past?
Not really. I mean, I feel like the whole Web3 content creator thing, it's like we create content about Web3, but you know, it's all on our website, on our Twitter and stuff like that. So I mean, that's like Web2, right? It's, for me, it's, I don't know, there's no real difference to creating the content. It's more so in the Web3 space, it's hard to find A, quality people, B, honest people who aren't, you know, who don't have ulterior motives, or, you know, they're not complete full of shit. Like it's hard to know that, right? Especially with the anonymity, if that's a word, of Web3, right? And that's where I love the content creation that we do at Skribr, is because, you know, I feel like I keep plugging Skribr, right? But we, you know, the content that we put out, it's, you know, it's like quality content from people who know what they're talking about, and they're honest people. They're not, you know, there's no ulterior motives. They're not trying to shill you anything. It's unbiased. So I feel like they're the qualities of a good Web3 content creator. I
mean, Skribr Network is not pushing an NFT collection, correct?
Yeah, because we don't need to.
Yeah, exactly. So there's already that. It's like, we're not doing this because we want to, you know, sell NFTs or get royalties or sell season 2 of Skribr NFTs or anything like that. So there's definitely that adds to that layer of trust that we're building within the community. Cool. Leeway, did you have anything to add to the Web2, Web3 content creation?
So before I do that, a little comment I'd make as well is I think a big part of why I love working with this group, and I think why a lot of people enjoy what we do as well, is the fact that, you know, this is what we're trying to do is freely available to anybody. And I think that nature of trying to give information, recognizing that, you know, ultimately what we want is a more mature space, and we want to be a part of trying to create that. I think one of the big eye-openers for me personally, and I hope Denomics won't mind me exposing him like this, but something that really struck me was when I first started doing one-on-one sessions with him. My deal with him, or arrangement, was I would only get 4 hours. And then the end of the 4 hours came, and I said, cool, how can I arrange some more time? And he said, no, let's just keep going. We're here, let's just do it. Like he wasn't waiting for the next payout or anything like that. And I think that's something that really resonated with me. And I think we've carried through to what we're doing with Skribr. As far as the sort of difference between Web 2 and Web 3 goes, I think the other side of the equation as well is who your target audience is. You know, the way I talk to people who are maybe not crypto savvy is the word, crypto familiar is the word, compared to say normie friends. The language you use is very different. You know, the language I use on a project review for people who are already in NFTs and are familiar with some of the terminology is very different to some of the articles that we will write that are not specifically crypto based, like general investment principles, market cycles, that sort of thing. How you communicate to that audience is different as well.
Nice. Okay. Denomics, did you have something that you wanted to say?
Yeah. Just want to quickly jump in because you mentioned about, having an NFT collection and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that we've tossed around ideas multiple times. And we always, come up with a really good idea and then we just pull back. And it's always the same outcome, which is we don't want the hassles of having a collection, worrying about floor price and all the bullshit that comes along with that. But we've always wanted to use... Sorry, what was that?
I was just saying when.
We've always wanted to utilize NFT technology for a few different things by like gating the community to stop spammers and do some fun little things on chain. But we didn't want to release the collections. We've been trying to figure out a way to do this. And I think we have finally figured out a way to do it. We've teamed up with Magic Eden to do something. We haven't really announced this yet. We haven't really, not going to release.
We're getting alpha, guys.
But we are working on something that, again, we mulled around this idea for ages and everyone sort of had their input. And I think we've come up with something that is really fun. It's like virtually free. So we're utilizing NFT technology without actually releasing an NFT collection. There'll be no market. So there'll be no speculation on price. So no one's going to be paying stupid prices and then wondering when their investment's going to go up. It's nothing like that. It's just a way to support us. But then we can use that technology to do some stuff. We've got some really cool ideas what we want to do with the art. I'll drop a little bit of alpha now. I won't give away too much information. But we wanted to do... I'm a big fan of art. And I'm a big fan of when the art has a bit of meaning and stuff like that around it. So we're doing these collections, these open edition collections. And each piece is going to be a large scene, like a fairly large image. And it will be, an illustration of a scene, not necessarily like a PFP sort of thing. But each one is going to be telling a story, or not so much telling a story like a made-up story. It's going to be more historical moments and memories of the Web3 space, with some sort of like hidden Easter eggs and stuff like that. And I just think it'll be fun. It's more of like the collectible side of things. It's not an investment. You're not paying one soul for these things. We're talking like literally free mints, but you collect these different memories from the NFT or NFT Web3 space, not just in Solana. It's very inclusive, chain agnostic, or whatever you want to call it. I think we're going to do something really cool with that, and it will allow us to now be able to do some on-chain stuff with the community as well, without the hassles of people asking when this, when that. Why isn't the floor price going up? There is no floor price, so it should be fun.
Yeah. Awesome. I didn't know about any of that. So I'm pretty excited now. That sounds really cool. I guess what are my next question is, what have the challenges been in content creation for you all? Sus, let's start with you. Like, what do you find the most challenging part of this journey?
So that's a tough question, because there's a few different avenues to go. I would say that the tougher part for me personally is, I guess, trying to keep it, I don't know, there's a battle between, like, you want to make content that people can relate with, but you also want to make content that's, hey, this is everything from my brain, let me put it down. But if you put exactly what's in your brain on paper, everybody's going to read it and go, you are absolutely insane, you're crazy. And so the hardest part's been trying to keep that filter, because there's a big part of what we do that is, hey, let's make stuff that's critically thought out and very analytical, but also people can understand it well. And those tend to be things that are give and takes. And so trying to find that sweet spot, or trying to make things that tailor to one side or the other, trying to keep it, kind of fresh and original. I would say that's probably the hardest part. That's got to be it for me.
Yeah. Okay. Professor?
So for me, I think it's a couple of things. So the first one is with the actual content creation in the Web3 space, I feel like it's hard trying to find, or trying to sift through the projects that are nothing burgers, essentially.
A lot of
So
them.
trying to find quality projects that we can actually do decent research on, right? Because we don't really want to do research on projects that are high probability of failure, or that are ran by people like children, or things that are likely to fail. Yeah, we want to bring the research to people who are using Skribr and our resources to high quality stuff, essentially. And then the next one is the crypto space being, like, for a new person to come in, it can be quite complex and technical, right? And it's some aspects about crypto and Web3, it's hard to explain that in a really simple way and get that across to people effectively, essentially. Right, but one person who does that really well is Leeway. He's really, really, really good with his words. Really good at explaining
He's a wordsmith.
things. He is definitely a wordsmith.
Nice.
I appreciate that.
Leeway, what do you find difficult? Because clearly you don't find expressing yourself with words difficult.
No, it's still difficult. Like I guess I've had years of practice doing various other engagements. I think Sus made a good point of, it's one thing to have in your head this idea and understanding of how something works, but then to convey it to another person in a way that they can understand is a whole other thing. But it's something I did a lot back in my uni days, because they have like a tier of the best ways for you to learn a concept. And actually at the top of the level is being able to convey that to somebody else. So if you can do that, it demonstrates your own knowledge as well. So I guess I've had a lot of practice on that front. I think as far as difficulties with content creation, this is me personally, I can't speak for the other lads, but I think it's just, there are times where I do have to remind myself to sort of stick to my guns. And what I mean by that is, ultimately the kind of audience that we're catering to are a niche audience. We're not going after the immature degen, but ultimately, that's what a lot of the space is. And it's very tempting sometimes to go chase that kind of attention. But you have to understand that that's not the audience that you want, really. If they turn around and see your value and change that way, then all happy days. And sometimes it's frustrating to look around at what other people are doing, and the kind of attention that they can get, and thinking, geez, really that? But that's not a knock on them. It's just the nature of the way the space is, and being able to say, well, look, I'm quite happy to stick to what my values are and stay in my lane. And over time, you're going to naturally get the right kind of people. And that's been a really rewarding part of the process, is the kinds of people we've had join our community who, that they hit the ground running, and they love what we do, and we love the conversation that they bring. Going to other groups as well, and they're saying, hey, it's one of the Skribr guys, and thinking, wow, that's awesome that there are people who do see that value. So I think that's probably been a challenge for me personally. But seeing that unfold has been really, really rewarding, and it just motivates you to keep going as well.
Cool. Dynamics, do you have anything to add to that in terms of challenges as a content creator?
I would say very similar to Leeway, but more so from a business perspective. It's really hard for me to sort of navigate and orchestrate what these guys have got to put out, because I see what works on the timeline and it's rubbish. Like, as Leeway mentioned, the most ridiculous stuff gets all the attention, and it's sort of like, shit, for us to grow this business successfully, we need to get attention as well. But it's hard because we don't want to go down this route of creating really low quality, easy, quick wins just for the sake of getting a few likes and shares. So it is hard for us because we want to stick to our guns, stick to our North Star, create quality content, and hopefully over time curate a really strong community of the target audience we're trying to target. But it just means it's going to be a long, slow, drawn out process.
Yeah.
So it's a very much a delayed gratification sort of business that we're building. We know it's going to take a while, but we know however long it takes, we're eventually going to end up with this rock solid platform of just absolute guns.
Yeah.
We may not be
frustrating thing as well.
the
Hey,
attention.
sorry, cut you off. I was going to say that's the frustrating thing as well. Is when you get on platforms like Twitter and stuff, and you see the content that people are consuming, and that's popular, and you're just like, especially for a new person that doesn't really have much of an idea, the people that they're listening to, that they're getting their information from, and they think that that's quality information, right? They think they're following the influencer, but most of the time they're full of shit and they've got no idea what they're talking about. That's the frustrating thing. Is like, don't listen to those people. Listen to the people that are trying to provide you with the quality and the honesty in the content creation and stuff like that.
Yeah. I think that I would say one of my biggest challenges is that I don't play the Twitter game. So like, I've grown my following organically. I won't just post to post, and I take days off because burnout's real. But I would say that like bad behavior is celebrated on the timeline. Like,
very much so.
Somebody
people are drawn to drama.
Yeah. And then there's not much drama to be had these days because, like Solana Side Up before I joined Skribr was 6 days a week. Then it went down to 5 days a week. And in February, just about the time I joined Skribr, I went down to 2 days a week because not only was I like drying up by Wednesday on stuff to talk about, but there's no mint list anymore and there's no drama on the timeline, or it's so petty or minuscule, and it's not something I wanted to kind of get into, because before, with everything that was happening, you could kind of touch on a little bit of the drama, but then move on to like minting or whatever else we were talking about.
There, right?
Yeah. And, and that's another thing that I find really important, but is a challenge, is like, there's some days when people are just down because the bear market's tough for people. And, my space is called Solana Side Up, so I always try to see the upside of like every downside. And some days that's a challenge, especially if you get a few bad news bears in your space.
Is that a shot at a certain? No, I won't go there.
Ooh, oh no, I know what you're talking about, and no, for legal reasons. No, it's not.
I will just really quickly. I see a comment from Werner on the side. Watch this space. All I'll say, he says we need a beginner's section in Scrum.
Is that
That's Tone? Yeah, that's Tone.
Yeah,
he's one of our other content creators.
Yeah. Mate, why does Tone need beginner stuff? Oh, he's probably asking for other people. Tone's a really smart guy.
Oh yeah, soon come.
Yeah.
Oh, I recognize that. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. We got catfished by Tone.
Yes, Tone. I mean, you should have known. Actually, I should have even known because the cat. It's his cat.
Yeah, spotted it straight away.
Yeah.
Sorry, Tone.
Hi, Tone. Okay, so I think, Leeway, you might have answered this already, so I'm going to skip you unless you have something to add to it. But conversely, of the challenges we've hit along the way, what has been the most rewarding part of this creator journey for you guys? Sus.
So I mean, the most rewarding part, I think, it just keeps happening, because you every time you get more people that are recognizing the name, more people that want you to, that just kind of appreciate the stuff you're putting out. And so like that most rewarding aspect keeps happening. And I think that's going to keep happening as long as, kind of like the other guys have said, we stick to our values. And that's really the big part. It's, hey, we're getting recognized and we haven't changed our motto. Nothing's changed. It's just people are starting to see it and saying, hey, this is something I like. And so as long as those two things stay true, it just the bar keeps getting higher.
Yeah. I really think that there are two things about this bear market that I really like. I think that the people who are consistent throughout will be rewarded eventually. It's a longer road, it's a longer play, as Dynamic said. But I do think that that's one of the things, because I always liken this to the .com boom and crash, which I was a part of as well. But the people who hung on through that crash, they're S&P 500 companies now, most of them. So that's one thing. And then I've forgotten the other one. So we're going to move on to Professor. Professor, what have you found the most rewarding thing so far?
I'm gonna say pretty much the same as what Sus has said. You know, it's an awesome feeling when you work so hard, and we're in the background every single day building Skribr and improving on things and adding things. And like especially when people who we kind of look up to in the space as well reach out and compliment you and say how good of a job you guys are doing, keep going, like that feels really good. And we know we're on the right track. And yeah, that's probably the most rewarding part, is making a positive impact on people in the Web3 space through the content and stuff that we publish.
Yeah. D, is there anything you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, I'd be much the same. When you see what I would call influential people, not influencers, but people who are very respectful and influential, giving us props, or sharing one of the boys' articles and saying, you got to read this, like that's a good feeling, because like the boys said, just knowing that we're on the right track, we are attracting the right people. It's just a time game. But some of us have been here long enough. We've seen people come and go. So like looking at these people doing all these short-term wins, like, yeah, they're all hyped up and they're king of the hill for a few months, but will they be here in another year? I've seen a lot of people come and go. People start YouTube channels a week later or 6 months later, they're gone. Bear market comes, gone. There's always another person to come in and do it. But the strong sort of survive, and yeah, we're happy to play the long game.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's probably the most rewarding, is seeing respectful people give us props is awesome.
Yeah, totally. Liwei, I know that I kind of excluded you, but did you have anything to add?
I think a different angle I'd add to this is, I think a big thing about us is we never want to present ourselves as the guys who know everything. As with all our content that we create, we are learning just as much as well. And with every piece that we write, with every project that we review, we're getting better and better each time. I know when I first started looking at projects, and sort of had certain ideas, I look back on some of those and go, geez, I should have seen that red flag from a mile away. But going through that process, that repetition, is how you start to pick up on those things. So, and I don't think I would have had that if I wasn't doing what I'm doing with Skribr. If I wasn't doing these project reviews for Skribr, I don't think I'd be doing them in the same level of depth on my own. And so going through that process, I've learned a lot through that. So I think that's the other side of things too, is you make yourself better doing this sort of thing as well. And as you said, bear markets, they're the time to really arm yourself and build up your skills, and so you can capitalize on the opportunities that will come. So that's the other part I'd add.
Nice. So sweet. We have like 10 minutes left. Is there anything like that you just gotta get out about content creation, about Skribr, about like the future? Here's one. Where do you see the future of content creation, in particular Web3 content creation, as that's where we're at? Keeping in mind where we're at right now, where do you see it going, or where would you like to see it go?
I got one for this.
Go.
So one thing that I would like to see, and this kind of goes back even to the question you asked before about Web 2 versus Web 3 content creation. They're ultimately not so different, because a lot of content creation about Web 3 is coming out on Web 2. The one thing that I would like to see about it, or see come from it, is Web 3 should be able to kind of promote finding your niche better. Whether your niche is something small in projects, something in learning, trading, whatever it might be, mostly because the access to publishing content from a content creator is a little bit smaller. You're not going through a mainstream marketing newsletter that just says, no, this isn't going to get the views, this isn't going to be the tagline that we need to see. That level is lower. And so people can kind of find what really works for them a little bit better. And so whether that's the stuff that we're putting out at Skribr, whether somebody likes something else that everybody else is putting out, I would like to see everybody be able to find the thing and go, this resonates with me. That's it. And it not be just like a Forbes newsletter that comes out.
Gotcha. The other question, and I guess I didn't really intro this properly, is in terms of content creation, are you all writing threads? Are you doing videos? Where are we at? Professor, are you strictly speaking a thread writer? Or
no, not really. More so, I enjoy writing articles on different topics and recording videos and like live content, things like that. Threads, like, yeah, I don't mind. You can always repurpose content that you write an article about and repurpose that into a thread. But generally, I'm not super active on Twitter. Social media, I don't know. Social media for me is, it's a thing we have to do, obviously, as content creators and people trying to grow a brand. But I don't necessarily enjoy spending all my days on Twitter. my news feed, like, if you guys could see the amount of accounts that I've muted.
I think we're all very much the same there, bro.
Yeah, for sure.
If you're shilling shit, if you're an engagement farmer, if you're like, just if you're not quality, if you're not speaking sense, you're muted.
Yeah.
Pretty much. If I didn't have to use social media, I wouldn't use it. I hate it. I use the messaging apps because stay in contact with everybody.
Yeah.
But the whole idea of putting your life on a show reel, to me, I just can't stand it. If I didn't have to use it, I wouldn't use it. I could go. I know there's a lot of people who live on social media and they can't live without it. I'd happily delete the apps if I could. But unfortunately, when you're trying to grow a business and part of your business is content creation to the masses, you have to have social media.
Yeah.
But I'd like to not.
And everything's on mobile and stuff these days anyway.
Yeah.
We've, I don't know, do we give a sneak peek, Johnny, or do we?
What's
do we
that?
Say what's coming?
I don't see why not. I mean,
go for it.
Reminder:
more extra alpha. I'm down. Let's do it.
We've got a new custom website being built, and we've also got a mobile app coming soon. So that will make the way people can consume our content a lot easier, a lot more user friendly. Because right now, the website we've got right now, obviously it's there could be a lot of improvements to be made, and there will be a lot of improvements to be made. And having a mobile app, I think, like we were talking about with social media, right? Everyone uses Twitter, Facebook, and stuff like that. And if people can use a Skribr mobile app and have access on their phone to quality content and things they need to know in the Web3 space, I think that would be really beneficial to people. So that's in the works.
Nice. Sweet. On the topic of social media, I mean, it is a necessary evil. I have fun with it, but when I'm not having fun with it, I'm very happy to put it to the side. And that's why I say I take days off. I am not about that no days off, team no days off, because it's necessary. I'm also definitely on the oldest side of crypto Twitter, so maybe I just need more rest than everybody else.
You can definitely have some good quality conversations on Twitter and stuff. Don't get me wrong. It's just the amount of talk and
there's a lot of noise. I'm actually
it can be draining. It's really draining sometimes.
It can be. There's a lot of noise. I have worked in the film industry for nearly over 30 years. There's a lot of noise no matter where I'm working in the office on set, and I've just learned to drown out a whole lot of it, and so I can hyper focus on what I have to get done. But yeah, there is a lot of noise. So when you said you mute people, I just thought about it. I have 2 people muted because I'm very good at scrolling through.
You got to pump those numbers, Vic.
Yeah, you got to pump those muting numbers.
I think,
the funny thing is that Lee Wei knows one of the people I've muted. but
No comment.
I'm really good at scrolling through and just seeing seeing what I want to see, or the content, the people that I know are pumping out the content. The rest of them, it's just like, they appear like those ads. Like every once in a while, I'll scroll back up and I'll be like, was that an ad or was that an actual person I follow?
Yeah.
I think like the key with social media is, and like many things in life, is you've got to find a way, if you're going to engage with it, to do so on your own terms. Because as the boys have said, it is a necessary evil. It is part of what we have to do. But it's about, well, how do I go about this in a way that still sticks to what my goals are and what my values are? And that does involve using the mute button very, very liberally. A similar thing, I was not someone who liked or enjoyed posting a whole lot on Twitter. I think it's very obvious. I have a lot of stuff going on up in here, and sometimes I need a lot of words to get that out. And Twitter, it's very difficult to condense that in a nice way. But I guess part of the learning experience for me is to be able to present what I might write in an article in a Twitter-friendly version as well. And that's just part of the journey, isn't it? Is developing a different skill set to make use of the tools that you've got. So it's not good or bad necessarily. It's, well, how do you use it for your benefit and in a healthy way for yourself?
Yeah, no, it's going back to that idea that I was talking about earlier, where it's you've got to be yourself. You've got to bring yourself to it. I think that's the key to longevity, because you got to find your own style with Twitter. Mine is 60% wholesome, 40% ratchet, and I try to bring the jokes whenever possible. You know what I'm saying? So I think, you really or you have to be a really convincing actor, because I can't imagine that like Shillin' Villain is like 100% that person at home. Well, not that he lives at home anymore, according to sources, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
the professor's down there laughing because he's like, I haven't seen his content in months.
Hey, he's getting muted.
No, I have to say, I don't have him muted, but every once in a while he pops up in my feed, and every single time I see him, I write, man, you're still out here? Because again, I just scan through and I never see him. Like, I saw that he was running a space the other day, and I was like, Shillin' Villain still runs spaces? What? Yeah, so anyways, it is about that time. It has been wonderful to have you guys here. Is there anything, last minute thoughts, feelings, emotions that we need to get out from the Skribr crew?
Not really. I mean, anybody who's watching, any viewers, like if you guys are interested to join our Discord, kind of have conversations with people, like head to our Twitter page, guys, and there'll be a link in there to join our Discord channel. There's no what's the word? Anyway, what's the word I'm looking for here?
Everyone's welcome. Everyone's welcome. There's no prerequisite. Everyone's welcome. There's no token gating.
Whatever, guys. We're all.
We have they have happy hours in there sometimes, guys, where you can just like shoot the shit or talk trading or talk whatever the topic of the day is.
Live trading sessions.
Really fun. It's really fun to join in on, and it's very accessible.
We're going to be doing a whole bunch of different voice chat live sessions and stuff like that in the Discord going forward. So
nice.
We're all in the process of working out a big schedule of what we want to do.
Yeah.
But definitely big things coming, guys, in the next few months. That's for sure.
Oh yeah. Pengzu's like, and a lot of shit talking. Okay, I'll take that VC. I'll take that VC session. I'll come for that. I'll lead. All right, guys.
Poetry is the biggest shit talker in this game.
Who is?
Poetry is basically, I created a channel just for poetry to just get his thoughts out.
Poetry, if
That's
you're
funny.
watching, we love you, boy.
Poetry, I'll be his co-host. I'm good at support. That's how I started. So guys in the chat, if you haven't already, subscribe to the Decoders channel. Now is the time to start claiming your views. Once we turn this off, you might lose them. And you know you're going to need those next week, Monday and Tuesday. Guys, thank you so much. It's been such a wonderful hour with you guys. I hope we can do this again sometime soon.
Sure.
Yeah. I am taking a little time off after Mint and actually going to Breakpoint as well. So we'll definitely talk about doing something else after that. But thank you so much. Guys, have a great rest of the day, and we'll see you in the next stream.
Thank you. See ya.
Thanks, everybody.